You are live. Wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join this. Um, for the people that were all signed up, hopefully you got my message to say, unfortunately, StreamYard didn't recognize the change in time zone over the weekend in the UK. And so wouldn't let me go live with this as it thought I was already an hour ahead, but I wasn't, or something like that. Anyway, we're using StreamYard to transmit into LinkedIn. And so we're about 40 seconds ahead, I think, from our experience of doing this previously. So uh, today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about why we've created Poetry. I'm going to invite Stephen to talk a bit about what are the main solutions that people have been using and what are the main benefits that companies have been getting from this. And I'm going to share my screen, do a demo, show how you set up a workspace, show you how you set up your first playbooks, show a couple of the other individual solutions, and how you use the browser extension. So I'm Adam Gordon. I am co-founder and director at Poetry. I've been in recruiting since 1999, and my sort of personal mission is to try and make recruitment better for everybody, for recruiters in particular in this case. So Stephen, quick intro to you.
Yeah, my name's Stephen. I am the product experience manager at Poetry. So it is my job to collect feedback from people, both internal and external, to make the product better kind of every day that we can. Background is 15 years in recruitment and recruitment technology. So fairly simple.
Great. Okay. So listen, the reason that we created this product is because recruiters have got the need for so many different assets and content and intelligence and information to get their tasks done. And my understanding was that all these assets and things they need are sort of scattered all over disparate workspaces and SharePoint sites and inboxes, and a lot of it in people's brains. And so I identified sales enablement technology as being something which is really useful for salespeople to very quickly access all the assets that they need, and thought we probably need this type of thing in recruiting as well. So what we're trying to solve is if you need interview questions, if you need job adverts, if you need policies, if you need to learn about something, if you need talent intelligence, you can all access it all in record time because it's all in the one workspace in Poetry. We're trying to eliminate the number of times people are on Teams saying, hey, does anybody know the maternity policy for Outer Mongolia? Or has anybody got any interview questions for this underwater basket weaver job that I've never hired for before? Or does anybody know, what's what are the universities and colleges with relevant courses for this type of job, right? If you can capture everything in the one space, everybody can collaborate, they can learn from each other, they can share things in there, makes a more collaborative environment, including for recruiters to interact with hiring managers, as well as with each other. So we're looking at rationalizing your technology stack because we've developed 28 solutions accessible from the one workspace. So customers that are using Poetry today are typically able to reduce the number of technologies they have to use to get their tasks done, and considerably reduce the number of browser tabs that a recruiter has open every day. So we're trying to make life more stress-free at the same time. It's not just boring library functionality, though. We have embedded generative AI, and we've made it very super cool and super fun to use. So all of the different solutions, we spent thousands of hours of research and development to really refine how Gen AI powers all of these solutions. We've done a huge amount of work on the prompt engineering and retrieval augmented generation and other AI techniques to make sure that when you're going and accessing things or building new things, everything's right first time. It's on brand, that it's in context. So headline is a typical recruiter using Poetry saving 2 hours every day. in getting their tasks completed. Stephen, what are the most, before I share my screen and start doing a bit of a demo on this, what are the most used solutions and sort of the biggest wins that the companies you're working with are getting from Poetry?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, there is 28, or there are 28 solutions available, in the platform. The way that we always suggest to people is try and identify some pain points that you kind of currently have, and whether that's getting branded content right first time or close to right first time, whether that's making hiring manager notes, job descriptions, the scribble on the back of a napkin into actual usable kind of content that's in context and branded, or research and things like that. But the real answer to your question is our number one used kind of solution, which wouldn't be a surprise to anybody, I don't think, if you've seen Poetry before, is playbooks. So the ability to create a whole bunch of assets in under 30 seconds, which Adam will show you kind of later on. But realistically, from there, individual solutions, we've got job adverts, we've got research, and we've got things like personas and stuff, which is probably slightly surprising to me because I don't have a recruitment marketing background. It was fun to see how much things like that are used. And really, the job adverts make sense. Everyone has a starting point. It always feels a little bit messy, and they want to create a really truly branded advert as quickly as possible, and we give them the opportunity to do that. That's a real pain point for quite a lot of people. But research and personas just shows that recruiters are searching for information, right? And they want that information as quickly as possible, whether that's who can I approach, or information about jobs or companies or insights, and why should I be, as importantly as well. So I think those are the three main ones outside of playbooks that we're seeing, which is a fun kind of development, and really that has stayed consistent over the past 12 months. That has stayed fairly consistent, that those are the most used.
I mean, it constantly surprises me, the problem around converting job descriptions into job adverts, and we've created a very seamless solution in here. So it's great that is a well-used and well-loved solution that we're offering. So let me share my screen and talk through Poetry. I'm going to set up a brand new workspace. Stephen, I'm sharing my screen, okay? Hello?
I was doing a thumbs up, yes.
I can't see you. All right. So I'm going to go into Workspace, Spaces, create new workspace. I'm going to use an accountancy firm called RSM UK, and I think their domain is rsmuk.com. So I've created this workspace, and this is basically a sort of blank workspace at this point. I go into Setup, Auto-populate, RSM UK, rsmuk.com. Generate workspace responses. I've never done it with this company before, so I am putting myself on the line here. What this is going to do, when it says workspace responses, this is capturing from the internet, what is this organization's mission, vision, purpose, values, career site, teams that they hire for, the jobs within those teams, locations they hire for, what's their employer value proposition. And it's answered these questions, and this is some of the baseline information that generative AI needs in order to make sure that when it's producing things, everything is on brand and it's in context. So I now go into the admin area and into org, and as you can see, it's populated the teams in this organization: audit, business development, consulting, CSR, finance. Okay, and then job titles within those teams. So within audit, there's some of the job titles. Within tax, there's some of the job titles, and locations. This is their office locations around the UK. Okay, I am a day one recruiter with this organization. First thing I'm going to do is go into my playbooks, create, and I'm going to select the job that I'm hiring for. So let's say it's a tax job, and it is a indirect tax advisor, and it's based in Birmingham. Let's stay with that. I could either click Playbook Assistant, which is going to immediately analyze, is this a hard to fill role? Is it an easy to fill role? Is it an exec role? Is it a mid-career role? Is it an early career role? Is it blue collar? Is it white collar? And based on that information, that will then determine what are the different playbook assets that it's going to build because of the tactics that Poetry is going to recommend that the recruiter uses to get that job filled. So that's a switch on, switch off solution at the admin level. But in this case, I'm going to click select all to show you everything that Poetry produces. It'll take about 30 seconds to develop 30 or so assets, which will help me to work on this job. It's going to give me 15 actually now, essential items of talent intelligence, things like, where should I advertise for this? Things like, what's the availability of people who can do this job? What's the diversity profile of people who do this job in this location? And then it's going to also give me talent sourcing assets like Boolean strings and outreach messaging. It's going to give me recruitment marketing content like job adverts and social media posts. And it's going to give me operational recruitment things like job interview questions, for example. So once that hits 15, that's going to be done. As I say, it takes about 30 seconds or so. So here's what it's delivered for me: job board suggestions for this type of job. Okay. It's given me the challenges and responsibilities in this job, the skills and certifications which are useful, the salary range and benefits according to Glassdoor, PayScale, and RSM UK Careers. So it looks at your career site. Similar job titles, relevant courses in colleges and universities in that location, the types of companies that hire for this, the largest companies, or the companies with the best career opportunities, the largest employers in that location. It's giving me remote work trends, diversity trends, industry issues and challenges. So that can be used for things like icebreakers, potential locations. So that's like commutable locations which are close by to Birmingham, turnover and growth rates for this, and demand v supply. Okay, so I could be a day one recruiter in this team. I've never worked on this type of job before, and I've got lots of great information there instantly to help me to be an immediate talent advisor to that hiring manager. Okay, now I've got my kickoff meeting template. So within our organization, this is how we go about doing the structure of that intake meeting or rec strategy meeting, or whatever you want to call it. Here's the Boolean string for this job. Search Google, indirect tax people in and near Birmingham. Here's my conversation guide, which is like, this is how I want to structure my elevator pitch. This is how I want to structure that first stage conversation. Objection handling. So this is going to tell you what are the main objections that you would get when you're approaching somebody for this type of job, and how would you overcome those for your organization. Social media outreach messaging for things like in-mails. AI-generated images, you're probably unlikely to use this without a lot of configuration. You can also upload your own images and it'll pull from that. Brand adverts. So this is probably for recruitment marketers. If you've got a campaign because you're hiring multiple of these people, this is going to create the copy for you for your Instagram campaign or whatever it is. Email copy, if you've got people on the CRM you want to reach out to. Your company's EVP, contextualized for the talent persona of an indirect tax advisor. Job advert. Landing page copy. Again, that's probably for recruitment marketers. Talent persona. So what's the professional desires of an indirect tax advisor? What's their pain points? How does our EVP align with what they might be looking for? Social media post, job description. Now, all of these things, there's lots of configuration options for adding in, this is the format that we want, this is the type of word count we want, this is the tone of voice that we use, this is where we put different blocks for these things. So you can really make sure that everything is completely consistent with what you want. You can even upload your own job description or intake meeting or whatever it is, and request that Poetry builds on that template. Skills-based hiring is telling you the other jobs with an overlap in the skills required, and then giving you just enough information. We call it skills-based hiring. It's just enough information to have a useful conversation with the hiring manager. Candidate interviews, many different ways you can format these, and then the candidate offer letter. So it's unlikely you would use that if you've got a proper applicant tracking system, of course, but a lot of the configuration options in here will allow you to switch on or switch off different things. So let's say you don't need a candidate offer letter. You could switch that off in the admin area, and that means that Poetry will never build these in the playbooks. You can include personas in here, like user personas. So for example, recruitment marketers might have access to things like landing page copies or the talent persona. Whereas maybe for a recruiter persona, they're not going to have access to those. The recruitment marketer, however, won't have access to maybe Boolean strings. So we'll only develop the things that are the most obvious and logical for each individual. Now, I'm working with the hiring manager. That's Stephen McGrath. I can click share. There's nobody in this workspace yet, so I'm going to add him in. stephen.mcgrath@rsmuk.com. And now what I can do is I can click on that individual, generate link. It gives me multiple different ways that I can make use of this. And then I can share that with him through Teams or Slack or whatever. You can do it directly from Poetry. And then he'll get a message with the link. He can come in here and he gets access to all the playbook assets you want to share. Now, in reality, you're not going to share things like conversation guides and I don't know. You might share things like the candidate interview question and the job advert, for example. So they can then come in and they can add in their comments. This needs to be more technical, and then tag me as the recruiter, add the comment, and I'll get an email and or a platform notification up here to say that I've got a comment that I need to review, and I can see, right, okay. So the hiring manager has asked this to be more technical. I can then click edit in this, add in my comments, and Poetry will make it more technical. Okay, so beyond the playbook functionality, if I want to use any of the individual solutions, it's really easy. I want to do a social media post. I can click create content. This is for an audit job. It's an audit manager job based in Glasgow. I can add in some notes if I want, type in some things to really influence the content that's developed, or I can just click inspire me, and Poetry is going to make use of all the information that it has about your organization to develop a social media post. If you want emojis on or off, you want your tone of voice, all that sort of stuff is available within the admin area. Refine response, I can type in, yeah, could you make this a bit longer? Could you make it a bit shorter? Could you make it a bit less chirpy or whatever it might be? And then I can click inspire me, it'll redo it slightly, and then I can click save asset. I can also click easily create related assets. So for example, I go into my job descriptions area. I've got this job description for indirect tax advisor, and click related. And then I want a social media post, say, that is related to this job description. Or in fact, actually the most common would be, I've uploaded 500 job descriptions. I want to turn them into job adverts. So job advert, inspire me. As you can see, that job description is really a list of responsibilities and requirements. So it's quite kind of gray. And then, oh, that's for a contractor advert. I should have changed the format option, but that's okay. So join our team as a contractor, indirect tax advisor. And this is a bit more personality in here. But of course, there's a lot of other things that I can do to impact the impact on the content. Two more things that I want to show you. So let's go into battle cards. I'm going to be interviewing a candidate who works for PwC. So I'll add in PwC. in a battle card, click create competitor. Here's some background on this organization. And then I click generate insights. And this is going to review things like Glassdoor and Indeed reviews and blogs about working in your industry. And then I can see what's it really like to work here? Culture, focus on social impact, commitment to professional development, collaborative, inclusive culture, strong brand reputation, diverse service offerings, strong global presence, competitive environment, limited flexibility, and high workload expectations. Okay, very interesting. I've learned something else. I can add it in here. Everyone gets a scooter, great benefit, and then add that into compensation, create insight, and we can all iterate as a team together. We can all add in all the different things that we want. Team learning is pretty useful. So I'm a day one recruiter at this organization. I'll come in here and I can get a quick insight into here's how we do advertising. Here's how we do assessment. Here's how we do CRM. You can see at the bottom, I've got my admin buttons. It's very easy for me to click edit or add in a new learning card, or click edit and then upload a deck, change the text and make it absolutely bespoke for your organization. So next thing is, I'm on, I want to use the browser extension because I want Poetry. I don't want to come into the desktop site. I want to use Poetry just in my general flow of work. I'm on LinkedIn and I need a social media post. Click on the Poetry button. This will ask me to sign in. Okay. And I could just go to my social media posts and then choose what I need. And if the right one's not there, I can click create new. Okay. Alternatively, let's say I'm on a job board. Let's go on to RS. Let's do Accenture because I know that one's got lots of really great job adverts on here. Search open roles. And okay, sales and marketing growth lead. So now what I can do is, here's the job. It's based in London. It's okay. I click fetch job details. And you can see over here, Poetry is examining the page to see if there's a job listing. And it is. So now what it's doing is it's analyzing the page to read the job details, and it's building your playbook automatically. So it's determined it's within marketing advisory, sales and marketing growth lead, based in London, and it's building out those playbook assets just in the same way that I can do in the desktop site. So again, it'll take the same type of length of time. It'll take about 30 seconds. And you could do this from inside the applicant tracking system. You could do it from your job advert on a job board. You could do it from a Word document that you've got on the page. I could just open up the browser extension and click fetch job details and then generate the playbook. So I think I've covered all the main things that I wanted to talk through. Stephen, anything that I missed or anything that you want to add in?
I don't think there's anything that you've missed from that, and I know that it can be quite a lot for someone to take in. But one of the things that we've really tried to achieve here, which I would hope people recognise at this point as we go through it, is that we've tried to fill the gaps. Right, lots of recruitment technology is based on what you're doing with candidates or what you're doing with jobs. Right, like I'm posting a job, I'm moving a job through a process, or I'm attracting candidates and I'm moving a candidate through a process. There is so much that happens before that, during it, and after it that kind of is left by the wayside. And that's the stuff that certainly when I was in recruitment, that was the stuff that I hated doing. And that was the stuff that took the most time. And generative AI has really excelled that process, but what that does means that people can do it quicker. They can't necessarily do it better. So we recognize that, and what we try to do is kind of capture really the context and the company beliefs and core values, and EVP is central to everything that we're creating here in Poetry. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember, whether you would use a tool like this or whether you're going to go and fire away and chat back and forth with something for 20-30 minutes to create a job advert. You've got brand guidelines, you've got things that you need to stick to, you've got excellent copy of things previously. You may as well move forward with those. So I think what we've done is we've provided a kind of one-stop solution for all that forgotten stuff, and allowed it to really come back as close to right first time as possible. Simply having someone read through it, check it, add their own little bit of flair if they're allowed to, or that type of thing, and then get ready to move it through the process. So yeah, I think it's just really important to hammer that home, though, right? It's everything that you've just shown there is not generic. It's in context, on brand, on purpose.
So there's about 50 people that have tuned into this session today. Let's have some questions. Nobody's asked any questions. Please do, and we'll answer it live or with a 40-second delay, because that's all there is between us on StreamYard and over on LinkedIn. But yeah, give us your questions. And let's talk a bit about the future, Stephen. So one of the things that you can do already is Recruiter, or imminently, is Recruiter logs a job on Workday or iCIMS or SuccessFactors or whatever your applicant tracking system is. And if there's a connection in place, there's an API connection between these two, then that will immediately send the signal into Poetry. And Poetry is determining what are the different tactics required for this job. Therefore, what are the different assets the recruiter needs? It then builds those assets and sends it into the recruiter's inbox by email. You don't even need to log into Poetry to get your playbook and all of that goodness and vitamins enriching your work. And so that's the sort of next thing that our customers are going to be enjoying over the next couple of months. Beyond that, what's on roadmap? Is it boring things? Is it exciting things?
No, we've got additional tools to help with designing and branding and imagery to really kind of secure that on the roadmap, and everything that we are working towards beyond that is making absolutely everything better. You explained recruitment tactics via the Playbook Assistant. We're going to enhance that that feature, and we're really just going to double down and make sure that we're up to date and can do everything that that people expect and would want from a platform. I think we have spent 12 months really aggressively building and iterating and gaining feedback from people, and we kind of landed around maybe three or so months ago. We landed around, right, we've arrived. This is us to what we're ready to do now, and what we should be offering. And it's really just about tightening those screws and making sure that we can do it to the best of our ability and make it important for recruiters to be able to leverage.
Rasmus has asked a question, so let's go to that. We use OpenAI. We've tested. We've done thousands of hours of testing, different LLMs and different ways of using things. We use OpenAI as standard. We've done a vast amount of research and development into highly sophisticated prompt engineering, retrieval augmented generation, and other AI techniques to make sure that everything that's delivered is very much on brand, in context, right first time, consistent, so it's returned the same each time. We are going to move towards being LLM agnostic. So if a company has a real preference for Gemini or something different, then we will allow them to switch. But as standard, as I say, it's OpenAI, because for us, that's produced the best results.
I think there's something to add to that as well, just from a technical point of view. The things that you have seen today are not just relying on AI to make an assumption about something. So yes, Adam has said it's very structured and deliberate in how we answer the questions. There is instructions for how we retrieve that information as well. But we also are using data point APIs when we can for available information to come back from real-time platforms, and we'll cite those sources as well, so that you see those. And really, a lot of that power is coming from the branding aspects, the questions that are asked, the EVP, everything that someone would put into Poetry to enable AI to write those words, right? So if you go and open up an LLM, Rasmus, beside Poetry, then you'll get two very different answers by asking the exact same thing to happen. And that's for a whole variety of reasons. But real focus on the brand for us.
Okay. Have you considered developing screening questions in connection with the call for the first interview and making them context dependent? I think we do that. Stephen, go ahead and give him. Yeah, how would you answer that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do that already. So the interview portion that Adam showed you as part of that playbook is actually just a small snippet of a more kind of robust solution, which covers everything from behavioral type questions to screening questions to technical kind of assessments, complete with a scoring matrix. How you want to build that out can look different from customer to customer. Right now on ours, it's pretty basic because it's instructed to be pretty basic. But you'll see here we've got different options. You can click on the next one, different kind of question types, and then different stages as well. So absolutely, we can have a list of screening questions for a first stage interview that is in context to that job, in that location, for my company. So that's really important as well. That's one thing I'm not sure we have mentioned, which I think is worth mentioning. Quite a lot of the things that we build, quite a lot of the things that are produced in Poetry do look at that job title in that specific location before it's answered. So things like pain points and stuff like that, that's all brought out in our communications, certainly objection handling, things like that. It'll address those different types of points. So yeah, you can see we'll get different questions, and you can change that and you can iterate. You can say, give me 5 questions, give me 10 questions, etc., etc.
So yeah, it's absolutely. So for a marketing manager, for example, based in London, I want, let's do screening questions, list of open questions for the second stage, and then inspire me, and it's going to deliver for me completely different types of questions for what it just did for the tax manager role that I just, yeah. And there's lots of ways behind the scenes to do further configuration on that. As I mentioned earlier, an example would be you can upload things like your own interview questions, and Poetry will build additional questions for different jobs based on that. You could upload your interview guidelines and Poetry will read that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered quite a lot. So if anybody wants to follow up, it's very easy to contact me on LinkedIn, or you can contact Stephen if you don't like me. And thank you very much for taking the time to take a look at the video. And yeah, hopefully it's been inspiring and you've enjoyed it. And feel free to continue to, if you're watching this subsequently, if you're watching a replay later down the line, feel free to continue to add your comment, your questions in, because I'll get a notification to tell me that you've done that and I'll come back to you. So thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.